Hello and welcome to Will Watches. This is the wonderful story of Henry Sugar. So if you know me, you know my love for Wes Anderson. Got my little guy right up there, my little Jeff Goldblum alien. I know this is a new Roald Dahl story from, or another adaptation of a Roald Dahl story from him. All of these 4 shorts that he did for Netflix. I'm going to break them up into different videos, and today we're doing the first Henry Sugar one. This is the longest, 40 minutes. The rest are only 15 and one's even shorter than that, I think. But it's great to see Benedict Cumberbatch in a Wes film, or short at least, and I know Dev Patel is in this one specifically at least. Yeah, don't have much to say, don't really know much about this beforehand. I know what I'm expecting from Wes. I'm expecting the symmetry, I'm expecting the handcrafted look. I am a bit annoyed because for these ones they didn't show an exhibition of all the work. I managed to catch the last 3 films that he's done, the Asteroid City, the French Dispatch, and Isle of Dogs. I got to go and see all the sets and everything for that, but they didn't do that for this one. Hopefully the next full-length film they do another one of those because they're such fun. Okay, so before we jump into this, be sure to check out the Patreon page. Over there you can find a full-length version of this reaction, early access to other reactions and polls so you can vote for what's next. Yeah, let's just jump right in. Oh, we're going 4x3, of course. That cuts off the Indian Paintbrush logo a bit there, though. Didn't think that through.
Well, here we are now in the hut where I write. I've been in this hut for 30 years now.
This isn't Roald Dahl himself, is it? Yeah, that's Roald Dahl's hut. Wes Anderson wrote Fantastic Mr. Fox in the same hut that Roald Dahl wrote a lot of his books. And there's a part of that film that is based on that hut. So this is Ralph Fiennes is supposed to be Roald Dahl himself.
And then finally one starts. Usually a few corrections needed.
He does love to do the story in a story in a story. Someone writing the story, just go straight to the source with Roald Dahl, I guess.
Henry Sugar was 41 years old, unmarried and rich. He was rich because he had a rich father who was now dead. He was too selfish to share any of his money with a wife. He was 16.
Get a prenup.
All his friends were rich, and he had never done a day's work in his life.
Okay, spoilt brat a bit.
They're not particularly bad men, but they're not good men either.
Had his whole life handed to him on a silver platter.
All rich people of Henry's type, of course, have one peculiarity in common. A terrific urge to make themselves richer.
From a little hut in there to a big hut out here.
And the terror of waking up one morning and finding nothing in the bank. These people employ various methods to increase their...
Oh, okay, there you go.
Some buy stocks and shares and watch them go up and down. Some buy land or art.
So a bit of a critique on capitalism and the mega rich.
One summer weekend, Henry drove down from London to the countryside to stay with Sir William W.
Oh, that's nice. Seeing the background a bit, breaking the fourth wall.
He drifted through the house, aimless, then finally mooched into the library.
Oh, I love that, yeah. It's so like a play, isn't it? So well choreographed.
It was actually nothing more than a cardboard exercise book of the kind that children use at school. The following is what Henry read in the little blue exercise book.
So then we're going in there.
3 other doctors were present with me. Dr. Marshall, Dr. Mithra, and Dr. McFarlane. There was a knock on the door. Come in.
I like this narration style. Come in, I said. That's cool.
This is a private room, I said.
Yes, I know, and I'm very sorry to burst in like this, but I have a most, I think, interesting thing to show.
Yeah, it's a cool stylistic choice, the narration style.
He was a small man, about 60, with a white moustache and a curious matting of black hair growing all over the outsides of his ears.
I thought you might say, hey, I'm insecure about that.
I felt my curiosity beginning to stir. Come in, please.
Oh, Richard Ayoade. Didn't notice him at first.
Once more, I said.
9,
Once more, I said.
3,
Once more, I
3
said.
again.
Once more.
No fingers.
Oh, he didn't say it that time. I like him interrupting him, saying, I said 2.
Keep your eyes closed while we wait for it to harden, please. 2 minutes passed. Try to open your eyes, I said. Of course, he couldn't. I took a lot of...
Oh, yeah. They wouldn't know what to say, how to commentate it. It's just so good. Love the commentary.
That isn't too uncomfortable, is it? I asked.
Not at all, thank you.
You do the bandaging, I said to Dr. Marshall. My fingers are too sticky.
The performance as well by Dev Patel as well, because this is all just one take so far, isn't it? And it's so fast paced. Just even remembering the lines.
Great Scott! Did you see that? He put his hand right on the doorknob.
Yeah, they got to keep observing him, of course. There we go. That was the first cut.
This is absolutely unbelievable. Dr. Marshall didn't answer. His whole face was rigid with shocked disbelief. Imdad Khan came to the...
I love that. Got to prove it.
The waiting crowd of 100 barefoot children shouted and surged towards our white-headed visitor. He greeted them by holding both hands above his head. He walked directly...
Oh, they were miniatures. Wow.
He wrote superbly. For a minute, we kept him in sight. Then he turned a corner and was gone. I can't bring
They don't even show that bit.
Can't bring myself to believe it.
I think we just witnessed a miracle. At 6 in the evening, I drove back to my flat for a change of clothes. I took a long, cool shower.
Yeah, that's going to be in your mind for a while.
An enormous magnifying glass was positioned in front of him, and, with no false moves, he neatly threaded the thread through the eye of the needle.
I mean, that's impressive just on its own, even without your vision blocked.
Being able to see without your eyes, I'll take it down as faithfully as I can, then I'll type it up and try to get it published in the British Medical Journal, or maybe even in some famous magazine.
Or does he want to reveal his secret, though?
It would help me very much.
Splendid. I have a sort of private shorthand I use for taking down medical histories.
Wow, okay. I'm surprised he went along with it immediately, actually. Oh no, we're getting the story from his point. Yeah.
I was 13 years old. For 3 years, I travelled with this group all over the Punjab.
Oh, there's Benedict
I
again.
was playing top of the bill. All the time, I was saving money, which finally added up to...
This one might be a composite shot, having them at the bottom and then a different take at the top with the train.
It was said that when he prayed, his whole body left the ground and rose up 18 inches. A terrific effect.
Someone levitating.
What truly fantastic luck. Talking to my companion, I found that he was the disciple of the great...
Okay.
And on his way
Knows.
at the very moment to visit...
Yeah, so at the top we're getting visuals of the story.
There was not even a shadow of a trace of a path where the man was walking. He was pushing his way between tall bamboos and...
That's just the handcrafted nature of it is so cool.
I was able to follow the sound of his footsteps. For half an hour, this tense game of follow the leader went on. Then suddenly, I no longer
Who's it gonna be?
in front of me.
And already I could see a sort of brightness was melting over him.
Oh yeah, he's glowing.
I saw, quite positively, his body slowly lifting off the ground.
Wow. I thought they might put him on, have someone come in and put him on some strings to pull him up.
46 minutes by my watch, his body remained suspended.
Wow.
I climbed down from my tree and ran straight over. The great yogi was washing his hands and feet in a basin.
Did he know he was watching, perhaps?
Suddenly, he picked up a brick and threw it at me so hard it broke in two as it struck my right leg just below the knee. I have the scar still. I'll show it you.
Is that Richard Iode again as Yogi? They're reusing the cast, aren't they?
And in order to make amends for attacking me, an attack I fully deserved, by the way. This was in 1890.
But he didn't learn to levitate. He only learnt this, the blinded trick.
Shut your eyes and think of something. Think of just one object. Visualize it. See it before you. In a few seconds, your mind will start to wander. Other thoughts will creep.
Yeah, your mind wanders. Yeah, it makes sense.
By nature, my sleight of hand is very good, but always I continued my exercises.
Yeah, so he does admit he does some sleight of hand, some trickery.
Holy people have been known to develop so great a concentration they can see without using their eyes. Each night.
Okay, I thought it might have been like everyone develops their own certain thing. Yogi can float, he can do that.
I studied the backs. I guessed the values immediately. I had a 60% success rate. Later, I bought maps and
I
navigation.
mean, yeah, that's more. It's quite a good success rate, actually.
By 1915, I could read a book straight through, cover to cover, blindfolded. I had it. At last.
It wasn't the same power he was after, though.
They forget that there are other ways of sending an image to the brain.
Imdad Khan fell silent. He was tired. What other ways, I asked.
Echolocation. He's a bat. Through sound, you can kind of get your environment around you.
Blind people might be able to see. Deaf people to hear. Who knows what else? This incredible...
Yeah, the medical implications are vast, actually.
This is a terrific piece of information. This could change my life.
Okay, so he's using it for himself. Now, was that the handwritten note he had there, or was it actually published? Is it widely known info?
The piece of information Henry was referring to was that Imdad Khan had trained himself to read the value of a playing card from the reverse side.
So he could cheat, of course. Yeah.
He realized he could make a fortune. He went downstairs to the butler's pantry and asked...
That's not really the spirit of it, though, is it? I mean, I guess Mr. Khan did it for money as well, performing.
Henry didn't have a brother. He decided instead to visualize his own face.
I was wondering what it was going to be. Okay, his own face. But the more handsome version of his face, because he sees himself as more handsome, right?
At the center of the candle flame, an extraordinary thing happened. His mind went absolutely blank. His brain ceased.
I love that. The bottom, they just cut off the projection. You can see the performance, yeah, breaking the fourth wall.
The first time in his life, he threw himself into something with genuine enthusiasm, and the progress he made was remarkable.
Ooh. Pillar boxing there, yeah. Left and right, okay.
I'm the one in a billion gifted with the ability to acquire yoga powers at incredible speed.
By the end of the first year, he'd exceeded 5.5 minutes.
Wow, yeah, that is good.
30 seconds elapse. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Henry doesn't move a muscle. His now highly developed concentration is absolute.
That takes... To be able to use that to help to cheat, though, that's going to be difficult if it takes 4 minutes.
The 5 of spades. Fingers quivering, he picks up the card and turns it over. All day and often far into the night, he crouches over the cards with the stopwatch beside him, reducing his time second by second.
Okay, he's working on it, yeah.
His target is 5. He knows that unless he can read through a card in a maximum of 5 seconds, he won't be able to work the casino successfully.
Yeah, exactly. Did he just run off screen, put on the fake wig, put on the wig and beard and come back?
No longer bothers him. Of course, he's able to work for 12 hours straight, no trouble at all. He knows with absolute certainty he'll get there in the end.
It has given him a bit of, work ethic.
There were well over 100 legitimate casinos in London. Henry was a member of no less than 10 of them. Lord's House was his favourite.
Okay, he's going to cheat in his own favourite.
He was dealt the 10. For his second card, he got a 9. 19 altogether.
That's faster than 5 seconds.
There were, of course, only 2 ranks in the shoe that wouldn't bust a 19, the ace and the 2. Only an idiot would risk drawing on 19, especially with 200 pounds.
But he's got the power, he knows how to do it.
His black eyes glanced up again into Henry's face and rested there, silent, watchful, puzzled.
It's going to cause controversy. Just him saying wait, if he had just done it normally.
Henry caught the look in the dealer's eyes and realised at once he'd made a silly mistake. He'd attracted attention. I beg your pardon.
Yeah, exactly.
Be very careful.
Don't let it get to your head.
The game went on. Henry's advantage was so enormous, he had difficulty keeping his winnings down to a reasonable sum. In an hour, he'd won £30,000.
Don't want to get kicked out, you know? Not allowed back.
Interesting.
What does he do with the money, though? Does he actually need it?
All at once, he sees through his own skin. Like an X-ray, only better.
Ooh.
He sees everything. Arteries, veins, the blood pumping through him.
Yeah, he can see that himself.
A blood clot. At first, the clot appears to be stationary. Then it moves. The movement's very slight. Only
Very close to his heart. Is this still the fake story that he said that would teach him a lesson? Or is this the real story?
He's about to die. Now, that wouldn't be a bad ending for a work of fiction. This story isn't fiction. This story...
Okay, that is the fake, yeah.
Henry's name, which wasn't Henry Sugar. His name has to be protected. Still must be protected. This is a true story. And because it's a true story, it must have the true ending. Here's what actually happened.
He just got rich and got bored of it.
He couldn't understand why he felt so little excitement about this tremendous success. This sort of thing had happened to him 3 years ago before he started the yoga business. He'd have gone crazy.
Takes out some of the thrill of the gambling.
The next morning, Henry woke up late, got out of bed, saw the enormous bundle lying on his dressing table, and didn't want it.
You've got that much money anyway. He just gave it to the people, threw it out of his window. I mean, he's probably in a rich neighborhood anyway, so who's it going to?
Keep it!
Feels like a bit of a Scrooge story in a way. That is something that made him happy, giving it back out. Oh no. Is it causing problems? Yeah, that sounded like a car crash there.
I didn't do anything illegal, did I?
Illegal?
Just disturbing the peace a bit.
There's hospitals and orphanages all over the country. Got hardly enough money to buy the kids a present for Christmas.
He was ashamed.
He can make some actual change though now.
2. I must never go to the same casino more than once every 6 months.
Yeah.
I must never win too much money.
Never get barred out of the casinos.
£50,000 a night for 365 days a year. That's 18.25 million pounds.
Or redistributed.
Las Vegas, Mexico City, Buenos Aires, Nassau. 6. I'll take the money I make and establish hospitals and orphanages all around the world.
Oh, he's establishing them, not even just donating it.
It would be, I think, wonderfully stupendous. 7. I need a partner. Someone who can sit behind
Still got the stash, yeah.
Someone I could deeply, emphatically, categorically trust forever. John Winston was Henry's accountant. He'd also been Henry's father.
Okay. This is a different character. It's not the same guy who wrote about the powers.
He moved with astonishing speed, sometimes changing his identity several times in a single week.
Wow.
The only clue-
And he's learnt to float too. Ooh. In the hospital, yeah, in the different locations.
Last year, age 63, from a pulmonary embolism. He saw it coming, quite literally, but was very much...
How do I know all this? Good question, I'll tell you. Soon after Henry's death, John Winston telephoned me from Switzerland.
Oh, and told the story.
Whether the story was really interesting enough to merit being put on paper. This annoyed John Winston very much. Perhaps it even offended him. In Lausanne, I met John Winston, now over 70. Also Max Engelman, a renowned makeup artist who travelled the world with Henry Christ.
Oh, he had a special makeup artist as well.
Max and I promised never to reveal his identity. Oh, I suppose it'll probably leak out sooner or later.
People could figure it out, yeah.
Call him plain Mr. Henry Sugar.
And that is what I have done.
The music as well is just that classic vocalization, the do-do-do-do-do. Yeah, written at Gypsy House by Roald Dahl. Okay, so that was the wonderful story of Henry Sugar. Really loved the narration style here. You know, we've had plenty of narration in Wes Anderson films, but this one felt different just because it's every character direct to screen, but it's them in character narrating it, and it's when they're like, blah, 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 I said, and they're like saying what they're doing is just hilarious. There's just such, you know, whimsy. That's the classic Wes Anderson whimsy, isn't it? It's so fun. And I think, you know, quite a important, poignant story for this time, even the time it was written. The thing is, I don't think any billionaires are going to watch this and have their minds changed. But, you know, we have massive wealth inequality right now, and it would be so much better if they'd actually use their money for good rather than just sitting on it. I do often think what I would do if I ever like won the lottery or something. Of course, part of it is setting yourself up with a nice house and enough to live off. But past that point, what more do you really need? Past a certain point of money that you have, there's diminishing returns for it, and it's much better in someone else's hands, isn't it? Or invested, as Henry Sugar did, into hospitals and nurseries and orphanages. Because I was wondering, when they were saying this was a real story, we're going to tell it how it actually happened, that maybe there wouldn't be a lesson for him at the end or something, but there was still, like, yeah, a lesson for him about money and wealth and your responsibility when you have all of that money. And I just love an insight into how they go about doing this. All of the kind of backgrounds, and it's almost like a stage play, isn't it, where you have people pulling things in and out and changing what the backgrounds are. Some of it is all handcrafted. There's maybe some digital effects in there as well to sell the illusion, but they also purposefully leave in bits where you can actually see, like, in between two backgrounds, and it's like backstage, and it does break that fourth wall just a little bit occasionally, which was really cool to see, because I think this is the type of story where you can get away with it too. You know, Wes Anderson films, especially recently, they bring attention to the fact that they are stories, and as I said, they have stories within stories within stories. And with Roald Dahl here, we see him sitting there in his cabin at Gypsy House, and I was thinking, because Wes Anderson, I don't think that would have been in the actual Gypsy house itself. There were some photos on the wall of the actual little cabin that Roald Dahl wrote all the books, and where Wes Anderson went and wrote Fantastic Mr. Fox. But I don't think they would have filmed this in the actual house, because the way they did it, you know, with the stages and everything, it probably was a recreation. I don't think that was the actual one that Ralph Fiennes was in at a few points there. But it did cross my mind, oh, I wonder if that's the actual place. And I think just the performances, so many long takes of very fast, very direct narration to camera. You have to be perfect in your delivery there. Dev Patel especially, there was that really long stretch where he just nailed it, and there were no cuts for quite a while. It takes some real skill to be able to do that. It was that first Dev Patel one that really caught my attention, me thinking, wow, that's been quite a while he's narrating. But I'm sure Benedict Cumberbatch and Ben Kingsley, theirs were really long as well. Just great performances from them, just the technical ability on display there, as you'd expect from, you know, Benedict Cumberbatch. I think Cumberbatch and Kingsley are both like classically trained and maybe have done Shakespeare and stage performances before, I'm pretty sure. But you can really see that talent on display here, can't you? And there is just so much comedy you can get through the narration and through the set design. The guy sitting on the box, Master Yogi sitting on the box and then turning it so it's painted to blend in with the background to make him levitate. That's really funny. You know, sometimes Wes Anderson films, they're not ha-ha funny, they're kind of whimsical funny, and they take a second maybe to even process what just happened and why it was funny. But there were a few good moments here as well, and as always there is that sense of whimsy. I think the music always adds to it as well. The music here, it had that kind of classic vocalization, those harmonies in the background that you always get. And you know, there was a little bit of a difference here in themes, because for the most part a lot of Wes Anderson films, you know, there's these through lines of father issues and of kids growing up fast. You didn't really have those here. This was much more simply on the kind of wealth and responsibility with that wealth. It is almost, with great power comes great responsibility. Imran Khan had this great power and then passed on the teachings to that eventually got to Henry Sugar. But yeah, that was really great, really enjoyable. I'm glad I finally got around to this. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Stick around for the future reactions to the rest of these shorts. And I have a playlist of every other Wes Anderson film, except I haven't done Isle of Dogs yet, but I've got a reaction or commentary to every single one so far. Okay, I'll catch you guys later.